Good morning, students. Welcome to the biology class. In our previous sessions, we discussed about the algae and bryophyta. Today, we are going to start with the new division of a same chapter, kingdom Plantae, that is your Tetradophyta. These plants are found in cool, damp, shady and humid places. That is means the occurrence of the Pteridophyta, that is in the cool, damp, shady and humid places. The dominant phase or the independent plant is sporophyte. They are the first land plant to develop vascular tissues. Vascular tissues means that is xylem and phloem, which helps in transportation of water as well as the transportation of food. The plant body is differentiated into true stem, that is rhizome, leaves, that is called as the frond, and adventitious roots or rhizoids. So this is the first plant body after algae and the bryophytes, which are having the true stems, and the stem is being called as rhizome. Leaves are being known as fronds and the root is adventitious or rhizoids. The leaves, they may be small as in the Selaginella or large, that is macrophyls in ferns. They are very decorative and the ornamental plants, that is known as your ferns. At maturity, the leaves becomes modified as sporophylls and they bear the sporangia. The sporophyll may be compactly arranged into the structure called strobili or the cones. For the example is that is called as a Selaginella and equisetum. You have to learn these examples, that is your Selaginella and equisetum. Sporangia contain sporogenous tissue, where spore mother cells undergo meiosis to produce the spores. So with this we should know the sporangia, which contains the sporogenous tissue, that is 2n. Spore mother cell, again it is 2n, and that undergoes the meiosis, which is known as your reductional division, and they reduce the number of chromosomes from 2n to n. So the spores, they are haploid. Sporogenous tissue is diploid. Spore mother cell is diploid, whereas the spores, they are haploid. So the plant body is 2n. The sporophyte is 2n. The spores. The plant may be homospores. They are of a same shape and size, or they may be of heterospores. The example of homospore is your ferns, and that of hetero is again the same example is there, that is the Selaginella, and that is the Salvina is another one example of heterospores. Homo means they are of a same shape, size, and hetero means of a different shape and size. Each spore germinates into the multicellular free living autotrophic, means which can synthesize their own food, but in inconspicuous gametophyte, and that inconspicuous gametophyte is known as prothallus. So what is prothallus? That is the gametophytic of your Tetradophyte. The gametophyte, you can say the part of your Tetradophyte is known as your prothallus, that is in the fern. So the very common example of Tetradophyte is fern. So the next is the gametophyte that develops in homosporous species, that is monoecious. Monoecious means bisexual. while those of Heterospores, they are dioecious, means unisexual. Homo means that is of a same shape size, they are present on the same gametophyte, that is monoecious. Bisexual means male and female both are on the same plant, whereas Heterospores means they are on the different, so that is unisexual. The sex organs, that is antheridia and archegonia. Antheridia means your male and archegonia is female, which have sterile jacket layer cell for the protection, in which the male and the female gametes are being protected. So after fertilization, zygote, which is 2n, develop into sporophyte, which becomes independent. So gametophyte is in between the stage, and that is the diploid phase, whereas sporophyte, that is your diploid phase, and your gametophyte is haploid phase. In Heterospore species, the female gametophyte that remains on the sporophytic plant is step towards the seed habits. So what we have learned in that is your Tetradophyte. Once again we are going to have a recap of that. That is, the plants are found in damp, shady and the humid places. The independent plant is sporophyte, which is diploid, that is 2 and this is the first land plants to develop the vascular tissues, that is your xylem and phloem, and the body is being divided into true root, stems and the leaves. The leaves, they may be small, that is called as the microphyllus. They may be large, that is known as the macrophyllus, and the leaves, they becomes modified as sporophylls. Sporophylls, they bear the sporangia. Sporangia, they contains the sporogenous tissue, where the spore mother cells undergoes the meiosis to produce the spores. The spores, they may be homosporous and they may be heterosporous, and each spores, when fall on the suitable substratum after the dispersion, they germinate into multicellular, free-living, autotrophic but inconspicuous gametophyte. So that gametophyte in the Tetradophyte is known as your prothallus. Gametophyte that develops in the homosporous species, that is monoecious, and which is from the heterosporous, that is dioecious, means they may be bisexual and they may be unisexual. The sex organs are antheridia, that is your male, and archegonia, that is your female, and they are being enclosed in the sterile jacket for the protection. After fertilization, the zygote that develops again into the sporophyte, starting from sporophyte, in between gametophyte, and then we are having a sporophyte which becomes independent. In heterospore species, the female gametophyte remains on the sporophyte, and the example is again, that is a Selaginella, and step towards the seed habits. And the examples, that is the Tetradophytes, they are having a few examples, that is Cephalopsidia, that is your Coleoptera, the example of that. Then we are having the Lycopsidium, and the example, very common example is, that is Lycopodium and your Selaginella. And then we are having the Cephalopodia, that is Equistem, and that is your Tetrasoptia, that is your Diropterias, and that is the scientific name of your ferns. And we are having the aquatic ferns, and the example is Azello. So these are the various examples, and here you can see the images of the various example. That is your Selaginella, and that is the root, rhizophores, and the leaves are there. And here we are having the another example, that is your Salvinia, and it is your aquatic ferns, and that is your Equisentum, that is the example of Equisentum, that is with your rhizomes are there, your branches are there, and you are having the internodes and the nodes, and then you are having a Strobylus too. And the next we are having the life cycle, very important, that is the life cycle of Tetradophyte is haplodiplonotic. means starting from diploid, in between we are having the haploid, very important phase, and again we are having the diploid phase. So here you can see the life cycle. So we are starting from the, that is sporophyte, that is 2n, that is a fern plant. Then sporophylls, again 2n. Then the sori is there. The sori is the sporangia, which are being having the spores like structures. Spore mother cell 2n, they undergoes the meiosis to produce the spores, that is your n. Then the haploids phase start, and then the spores, they fall on the suitable substratum, germinate into the free multicellular autotrophic inconspicuous gametophyte, which is known as prothallus. And these are having two gametes, that is antheridia and archegonia. Antheridia, they will produce the antherizoids, and the female gamete, both they are of a N, that is the haploids. So this is called as a haploid phase. And they, after the fertilization, they fuse to form the zygote, which is again 2N. They undergoes the embryogenesis, which is again 2N, and then form the independent mature plant, that is sporophyte 2N. This is your diploid phase, and this is your haploid phase, which is having the life cycle as your Tetradophyte, that is having the haplodiplonotic life cycle. This is very important. So this is the only, you can say, the division which shows the bryophyte shows the haplodiplonotic life cycle. Tetradophyte again shows the same, that is your haplodiplonotic life cycle. This is very, very important. So go through this again step by step, slowly and slowly, and consult your NCERT for the same. Till then, stay home, stay healthy. Thank you.